Is part 2 of ratios, rates, and unit rates. And in this lesson, we will be talking about how to compare rates. Carrie makes costumes for the musical. She bought 15 yards of material from Michaels and spent a total of $44.25. She bought 35 yards of material from Jo-Ann Fabrics and spent a total of $73.50. From which store did she get a better deal? There are a few ways to answer this question, and I want to look at and compare the different options. The most common for looking for a best deal with money is to do the first option, which is finding the price per yard. So when we're looking for the unit rate of price per yard, we are going to do the price divided by the number of yards. So take a minute to do that for both Michaels and Jo-Ann Fabrics. For Michaels, if you divide the price, which is $44.25, divided by 15 yards, you will get $2.95 per yard. For Jo-Ann Fabrics, $73.50 divided by 35 is $2.10 per yard, making this the better deal because it's cheaper per yard. Now, sometimes we forget that when we're looking for the best deal, that we want to do money first divided by the other unit, which in this case is yards. Sometimes we look at the problem and simply divide in the order that the values are given. So it's important that you pay attention first to what you're doing, and then also make sure you're labeling your answer. So the other option is to find the amount of yards that you get per $1. So to do that, you're going to take the numbers and divide them in the opposite direction. So 15 divided by 44.25, that's going to give you approximately 0.34 yards of fabric for $1. Now that's not saying that you're only going to spend $1, it's just saying that's how much you get for every dollar that you do spend. For Jo-Ann's, 35 divided by 73.50 gives you 0.48 yards for your dollar. So if we are doing it this way, we need to first be careful to make sure that we know what we did, because a lot of times I see people do this, but they think it's dollars. So $0.48 or 48 cents per yard, but that's not actually what we did. We did yards per dollar. So in this case, it's a better deal to have more yards per dollar because you're getting more for your money. So that's still the best deal. If you misinterpret what work you did and think that this is money, you might accidentally think that Michaels is the better deal if you think that this is 34 cents per yard rather than 0.34 yards per dollar. So like I said, we have to be careful to make sure we're paying attention to what order we did our division in, and whatever order we do the division in, that's the order that our units go in. So 15 yards divided by 44.25, that's yards per dollars. And then another strategy is we could simply look at, if we know that it's 35 yards from Jo-Ann's for $73.50, if we double the amount that she got from Michaels, so 15 times 2 for 30 yards, and then double the price, $44.25, you can see that for 30 yards at Michaels, it actually costs more than it did for 35 yards at Jo-Ann. So you can see that that's not going to be as good of a deal because it's more for less yards. In this case, we can't quite get it to be exactly 35 because 15 times 2 is 30, and then 15 times 3 is 45, but it's close enough that we can see, oh, well, for fewer yards, it's more money. So we can see that that's not the best deal. So it's still Jo-Ann Fabrics. So to recap, my suggestion, if you're looking for best deal, we're usually thinking of the cheapest dollars per whatever the other unit is. So you're going to want to take the money and divide it by the other unit. That is option number 1, and that's usually what our intentions are and what we understand the best. So here's a few other examples to try. Which is the best deal of the apple juice? If you do dollars per ounce, you should see that the first option is the cheapest at about 8 cents per ounce, and that middle one is the worst deal at about 37 cents per ounce. Now this one is asking a little bit of a different question about fuel efficiency. It's actually best to get more miles per gallon than it is less, because you can travel farther on a gallon of gas. So for this one, the SUV gets more miles per gallon than the truck. So that would be miles divided by gallons. Miles divided by gallons. If you accidentally did it the other way around, what you would get here would be 0.05 gallons per mile. And then down here you would get 0.04 gallons per mile. That would mean this car uses less gallons for every mile, so that's still the better fuel efficient car. And lastly, which cookies bake more slowly? So these ones take longer to bake per cookie. If you do, I did minutes per cookie. So they take longer. So that one is the slower cookie. If you had done it the other way around, here you would get 2.5 cookies per minute baked. And here you get only about 2.17 cookies baked per minute. So it's still cooking slower if you do it the other way around.